Listen. You're going to have to go out there and do the show without a teleprompter. I know it's not working. It's not ideal, but you're going to have to do it.
Mary, what would I say without a teleprompter? And what would I even talk about?
You would say words that you're thinking.
There's nobody out there doing a show without a teleprompter.
Listen here. When Abraham Lincoln gave the Emancipation Proclamation, do you think that he had a teleprompter?
What year was it? I don't know about the history of technology.
Guys, we're going live in 3,
You can do it.
2, 1, and rolling.
Hello and good day, and welcome to another edition of the Thrive Time Show on your radio and podcast download. On today's show, we interview Daryl Woodward.
It's Woodward. Woodward.
On today's show, we interview Daryl Woodward, who is the founder of the multi-million-dollar business SAGENET.
It's SAGENET. That's the name of it.
SAGENET. However, unlike you hear from the mainstream media, today's guest will not be spoon-fed, mindless softball questions read by a beautiful-looking puppet of a human. On today's show, a good friend of mine.
His name is Clay.
We'll be interviewing Daryl.
Keep going.
Clay Clark. We'll be interviewing Daryl Woodward on today's evening edition of the Thrive Time Show. And let me tell you, folks, he is not a beautiful man.
Keep going.
Hello,
You're going to have to say something.
America.
Fill the gap.
Hello.
Fill the gap.
If you want to know how to grow a multi-million-dollar business, well, you should take notes, as Clay Clark does an exclusive interview with my dear friend, the one and only
Daryl. That's his name. His name's Daryl.
Daryl Woodward. This is a Clay Clark exclusive interview with Daryl Woodward.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top, teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio, and now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere. And Z, it is our civic duty to bring on smart, successful people.
Successful people.
And
Whoa.
I'm not saying that we are smart, successful
okay.
people. It is our duty to round up smart, successful
I
people
dodged that like Matrix, man.
and to bring them onto the show.
Yes, of course.
And to ask them how they did it. And so on today's show, we have a guy. I feel like you should know this guy. I cannot believe you don't know Daryl.
I do know his business.
Daryl Woodward, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
How do you two not know each other? Because everyone that you know, Z, knows Daryl. I mean, seriously, you guys have probably heard of each other.
Well, we can't really talk about that publicly, but we do know. We go back a long ways.
So, Daryl, let's talk about this. What is the business that you built?
Well, we're in technology, and we do a number of things in technology, but our primary business is installing and managing wide area networks. So our customers are multi-site retail customers like Quick Trip, Come and Go, Arby's, or Dollar General, people like that, and we provide their connectivity to all their multiple locations.
When did you have the idea, hey, I want to provide extra connectivity
Wide area.
to Arby's locations? I mean, where did the idea for this company come from?
Well, I'd been in technology for a long time, and we had been installing networks for customers, but it was an interesting situation as we were talking to a particular customer, and they were going, well, actually, our very first network was for the USB franchise here in Tulsa that had about 300 Arby's locations. And they had been just dialing up their point-of-sale information in the evening, and so then they wanted to have real lifetime data to be able to do credit card processing so people could pay with credit cards. This is about 20 years ago when it used to be all cash. And so anyway, we got the idea that we could resell the circuits, and once we did that, we realized that the circuits weren't up all the time, so we started managing the circuits. So we are monitoring the circuits 24/7 to make sure they're up and running all the time for the customers.
I'm a simple man. This is a very complicated idea.
You are a simple man.
How did you? When did it go from me to we? I mean, when did it go? When did it move from just you and a team of people? When did that happen?
Well, it was fairly slow growth in the first 10 or so years. Adding one person here, one person there, and we got up to about 80, 90 employees. And then about 7 years ago, we bought a company out of Washington, D.C. called SpaceNet, and they were substantially larger than us. They were in a similar business as ours, but most of their connectivity was with satellite connections.
Wow.
And so their satellites are, again, for multi-site retail, but they also did a lot of energy companies, both on the EMP side as well as pipelines.
Where did you start the business? Were you in an apartment, in a condo?
In a garage?
In a garage? Where did you start the business?
No, I had actually had two technology companies before SageNet. I started out about, 36 years ago. I had a company called MicroAge, and that's when PCs first became popular, and we were selling those. Mostly to corporate customers, large corporate customers like American Airlines and Halliburton. And then in time, we sold that and then had a company called Stonebridge that did mostly custom application development, and sold it a few years later. And then at that point, we started SageNet.
So if people want to learn more about SageNet, what is your website?
SageNet.com.
And how many employees are now there approximately? How big of an organization do you have now? If you feel free to share about that.
Sure. 375 employees in the U.S., and then we have a call center with about 25 associates in the Philippines.
Now, did you ever watch the movie The Terminator?
Oh yeah, I've seen The Terminator.
Well, there's something very ominous about the name SageNet. What was the name of the company? Skynet. Oh, so are you getting ready to take over the world with robotic things? Is that what this is? It's a big network of. I'm just checking because I go to the movies every now and then. And the Terminator's never wrong.
No, those
No
guys
connection
that are doing artificial intelligence are way beyond what we do.
Okay, I was just checking.
How did you get your first customers? How did you go about getting your first 10 customers? Did you cold call? Did you have some connections? How did you get your first customers?
Yeah, well, at SageNet, since we had been in the in technology for a number of years before then, we had kind of a base of customers we'd worked with in the past. And then as we got into networks, we focused primarily on the convenience store space. And so today that makes up really the lion's share of our customers.
Did you cold call?
We made some calls, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now you started your first business, sold personal computers, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And what was that business called?
That was MicroAge.
And what year was that approximately when you started that?
Started that in 1985 and sold that in 95.
Where did you get the money to start the business?
Well, I was entrepreneurial from a young age. My dad was kind of a one-man band in a small town selling insurance and real estate, and he always told me you need to be your own boss. So I took that to heart and started buying real estate when I was in high school and had some rental property. And then when I got out of college, I went into banking, but I continued to do real estate on the side. So I was fortunate to have put together a little bit of money to start MicroAge.
Now, I'm going to say some stuff right now that somebody listening right now is going to have a hard time with. And I need to get a little Chuck Ramsey on the microphone, too, here, Jason. We need to make that possible because I'm going to say some stuff that's a little bit out there.
Don't do it.
And so you can pull me back in if you want to. But I have to say it. It must be said.
All right. Let's go for it.
When you start a business, if you're listening right now and you came from nothing like we did, like Dr. Z did, he was washing dishes. I worked at Applebee's, Target, and DirecTV. When you start with nothing and you build your first something, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of delayed gratification. But eventually you get to the end of the rainbow you were chasing. And you go,
it's like launching a rocket. A lot of energy to get it
now
on
you're in
up
orbit.
there. Yeah,
and you go, you know what? I worked really hard to get a pool. Check. To get a bunch of trees in my backyard. Check. Nice house. Check. Car. Check. Great family. Check. And you get to the end and you go, now what? And you two sick freaks here, Z, you and Daryl, you two guys have decided to get behind things that you really care about that would make it work, that makes capitalism work for the next generation. You two have inspired me. You directly. I heard of your what you've done, Daryl, but I didn't see it, so people kept mentioning. But there's a word called traction, and there's a word called distraction. So traction means you're getting closer to something. Distraction means you're getting further away. So the ideal that we used, the ideals that were used to found this great country, were all documented in this thing called the Constitution.
Yes.
Which gives you the First Amendment right to peaceably gather and assemble, that sort of thing. You have the Second Amendment right to bear arms, etc. But the point is, it's freedom. Freedom to be really poor or really successful.
Correct.
But there's something that's taken us away from freedom. That's called socialism.
Uh-oh.
So you have traction, moving closer towards the ideal. We call that capitalism. Then there's distraction, moving further away. We call that socialism. And you two guys have really put your money where your mouth is and have supported candidates that stand for the Constitution, for individual liberty, that kind of thing. So, Chuck, I'd like for you to tee this up here, because what has Daryl done in Oklahoma? Because I keep hearing that Daryl has helped Oklahoma dramatically be a more free place to live. I heard he actually flipped the state red. Can you explain what you know of what Daryl's done?
Well, one day I got a call from Daryl, and he said, hey, I'm going to get 12 guys together, and we're going to call on the, what do we call it, Daryl? The Chairman's Circle. And he wanted to take Oklahoma and turn it around. And that's exactly what he did. He, of course, we raised money, and we gave him money, and then he moved forward and started talking to people, hired Matt Pinnell, didn't you?
Well, Matt Pinnell was the assistant Republican state director.
So you guys, I mean, what year was this? What year was this, Daryl, when this happened?
Probably around 2004. But again, Chuck gives me way too much credit. There were a lot of people.
You understand, though, that at least half of the people out there listening right now are not Republicans. Maybe half, maybe less than half, and then half of them are Republicans. There's two. It's a divide. When you start talking about politics, you start dividing the room a little bit there. And for all the listeners out there that don't believe me, ask your employees to say all the Republicans sit over here, all the Democrats over here. See how that goes over. So all I'm saying is that idea, politics can divide. So you probably have taken some hits, Daryl, for standing up for your beliefs. But tell me, why did you decide to become politically unapologetically active?
Good question. I don't know. It was just getting frustrating in the state that, our taxes were so much higher than Texas that it was going to be hard for us to be competitive in Oklahoma to attract businesses. I think it's exciting to see, today that, Tulsa has a shot at Tesla. And if we had a zero state income tax, we'd even be more competitive with Texas. But that's probably an unrealistic number right now. But at least it's come down substantially from 8 to 5%. But, just a real strong believer in capitalism, like you mentioned, and personal responsibility.
Z, why doesn't it work if we try to make the distribution of income equal to all parties? Why does that not work?
It's called communism. And it does work, but you have to build a wall to keep everybody inside because nobody wants to be there. There's story after story after story of people fleeing, trying to flee, wanting to flee, being able to flee.
They can't get outside the wall,
communist regimes. And this idea that we're all going to sit around and everybody be equal. I mean, do you think for 1 minute in communist China that everybody is on the equal footing? Seriously?
No, it wouldn't even happen to Elephant in the Room. I mean, Jason, we're going to have on in a minute. Jason was a manager for Elephant in the Room, and he outsold other people with memberships. And so what we did is we paid him more because he was better at his job.
You promote him and pay him more, and that's
what we did. And some people got mad about it.
And that's what happens is, and just this new wave that's happening in the United States right now. It's really not about race. I don't think it's really about rich and poor. It's about people that have and don't have. And
hey, wait 1 second.
Well, hold on.
No.
Well, don't get me started. Shunda. Don't get me started.
Where do you get
what
off?
Happens is that you get enough people that don't have, that want to take the easy path, the shortcut, and just say, you know what, all you people that do have, just give it to us. Let's just chop it up.
Chop it up.
Let's just chop this baby up No pun on the new district in Seattle. Named
Oh,
Shop,
wow.
by the way.
I see what you did there.
And
Magic.
Let's just chop this thing up and let's just all just get along. Everybody should drive the same kind of car. Everybody should live in the same size of house. Everybody should have
Hey, in
chicken
Venezuela,
on Thursday.
Venezuela, they've been doing the whole socialism game since 2013-ish. Where they're full blown socialism. I'm total seizure of every communism.
It's communism.
Communism.
I mean, call it what it is.
And only a third of the people are starving now.
You're right. So.
Only a third. I mean, think about how great they're doing.
But you can, if you live on the border cities in Venezuela, run toilet paper. You can buy very cheap from your communist government because everybody gets the same thing. I'd run it across the border and make a profit.
This just did. If you want to make a profit in
to.
Venezuela, you need to buy toilet paper from the government and then
Yes,
resell it
and
across
then
the border.
resell it across the border.
That's
if
a pro
if you
tip.
could smuggle it across there.
Well, I'm going to start a
pro
business
tip.
based upon that.
I mean, why not?
Now, I want to bring this up because I'm tired of you mentioning. You can't even say the word race without being. You're not black.
I'm not.
Jason,
I've been wondering.
He said
this whole time.
7% earlier.
Jason, as
so
a
I don't
man
know.
who's not white, is Z white?
I don't know what Z is. Z has too much soul for me to be able to determine.
You
right now.
can't talk about race.
thank
So I'm
you.
going to talk to you
You've
because
seen
you're
me
the only one
dance.
allowed
I
to
mean,
talk
That's
about
true.
race
Listen,
right
I
now.
did-
Z, that's fair. Z dances like a black man.
I did
So-
the DNA test.
You
and
have-
I've got it unveiled.
You are a funk soul brother.
That's true.
Now, Jason has aspirations to get into politics.
I do.
And so I wanted to set this up because he's on our team. Yeah.
I am.
So I just want to know, I want to just kind of tee up the conversation where Jason can ask you anything because you remember Matt Pinnell. Matt Pinnell's my age.
Yeah.
And when you first met Matt, how old was Matt? I mean, Matt was what?
Late 20s, probably.
Late 20s? And he ended up, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he became the head of the Republican Party for Oklahoma. That was his job to organize
Yep.
the.
Yes, he was.
in charge.
When he was like 28, 29? I mean, he was not.
yeah, probably 30 or so. He was in charge of it.
Unbelievable. Babyface Matt Pinnell, now the lieutenant governor. I mean,
Right.
exciting times. I mean, so, Jason, how old are you?
I'm 27 as of this year.
So you're in that
So
Matt
much
Pinnell
Lieutenant
range.
Governor. Yeah.
So go ahead. Any questions you want to ask Daryl or Dr. Z, because Dr. Z has supported many candidates like Jim Bridenstine, who's gone on to become the head of NASA. Daryl has helped to change the direction of the state. He didn't do it himself, but he teamed up with people. What questions do you have for these guys?
So I originally started because as everything started to open back up, I realized that, and whoever's listening to this podcast, feel free to be angry. You can find me on Twitter and just raise all the hell you want to. But after the shutdown and everything opened back up, I realized how much our mayor failed us. And I remember
Mayor of Tulsa.
The mayor of Tulsa, correct.
Okay.
And Craig's been great. But I realized that the mayor of Tulsa had failed us. And I looked back at people who I had supported via my previous political upbringing, because I was very liberal through my young adult years when I was, for lack of a better word, stupid. But so as I've started looking into it more and more, I realized the people that I aligned my ideals with don't serve that same purpose, and they are highly manipulated. And so what I wanted to do was, I was tired of just thinking about doing something. I decided I wanted to make a move. And I thought, I work with business owners and can help them fix their businesses. I'm all about accountability. I've learned a ton from Clay and Z and all of my mentors on how to do something properly and constitutionally. So I thought, I'll make a statement. I'll just run for mayor. I've never run for office before, but I'll just do it. Unfortunately, I decided to run for mayor the day after you had to turn in your packet, which I learned when I called them. So my question is, as it leads up to, I think, the next time you can announce your candidacy is April of 2022. So in those in 2 years between there, what should I do in order to prepare? Should I be looking for another seat in order to have like an intro to it, or should I just be preparing my platform and getting as much?
This is a great question. So what can I guess, Daryl, we'll start with you. What can a guy like Jason who wants to get involved, what can he do? What does he need to do?
Sure. Well, first thing is, obviously deciding where you want to fit in. Do you want to do local, like you mentioned about running for mayor, or do you want to be at the state level? It's very interesting at the state level. If you're running for the House, state House, or state Senate, it really is a one-on-one relationship that gets people to vote. So if you're willing to take the time and go door to door, those are the people that are successful and then get into the state politics.
Okay.
And then once you're there, obviously it's a matter of asserting your ideas and moving up into leadership at that point. it's pretty hard. You know, you have these exceptions like Governor Stitt, who, you know, was able to, you know, half fund his campaign and to go for governor. But most cases, to get to senior leadership, you've got to kind of work your way through the ranks.
Where do you see a good starting point for a guy like Jason? Do you see, like, is it city council kind of a thing? Is that kind of a and see, I want to get your take on this. I mean, if someone says, I want to get involved, I don't want to just be a spectator, I want to get involved, where do you see as an opening right now in Oklahoma?
My preference is to start like at the state house or state senate. I really think you can have a bigger impact there personally. But, you know, if you have more of an inclination to be interested in just the city of Tulsa, then obviously city council is a great place to start.
And I don't want to be too like mathematical on this, but there is some strategy we have term limits here in Oklahoma.
Right.
Sometimes battling an incumbent is more challenging, but not impossible. Okay. So a research of the area and when people are going to be coming up and when their term's going to be over, and then moving into that area so that you then qualify to run for that seat. There's some strategy to it.
Right.
And I think there's nothing wrong with strategy. And to say, oh, wait a second, this congressman's going to term out and he lives in District X, and in order to run in District X, I need to live in District X. And so therefore I want to plan ahead. That's going to be in 2 years or whenever that's going to be. And I want to start getting involved in that community, that area of town, because every big city has different areas that you get involved in. And it could be a number of different ways. But you get involved in that, start meeting people, hang out at the local Starbucks.
So real quick here. So step one, you're saying find a winnable battle.
Yes.
Find a winnable battle.
Right.
Do some strategy.
Right. Find a winnable
saying
battle.
If you need to maybe buy a house and that
rent a house, buy a house, become in that area, and then you strategize. And it's a long-term strategy or short-term, however you want to look at it. 2 years is some people long, some people it's short. And what you do is you make a plan. And through all that, you find out, then you start meeting with other delegates that neighbor that, start meeting with them, doing coffees with them, supporting them, and talking to them about what it's like, how it's like. Sometimes even like working for Clay, you shadow him, and you find out whether you want to be around him. You want to be in his club. You want to be like him. And I think the same thing happens in politics. A lot of times you think, wow, that sounds really cool because of whatever ideas you have about it. But being able to shadow people, maybe interning in their office, maybe helping their campaign, maybe what does that look like? Putting up signs, meeting and greeting, running security, knocking on doors with them, and driving them around.
Would you guys,
coffee donut morning meetings? I mean, so what you do is you become active in that genre, and then now you gain whenever you start running. Now all of a sudden you get their endorsement.
Would you say
now all of a sudden you get them saying, "This guy's a good guy. He's been helping me with my campaign. I've met him. I've done lunch with him, coffees with him on multiple occasions. I know what his heart is now, and he's a good guy." And you get those. Now you're getting strategic in the battle that's going to rage.
Would you say that politics?
Right there, would you say that's good advice?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd even say a lot of them have been successful putting together small advisory groups. And then you get this advisory group, and then that helps grow out, similar to what you were saying there.
If a guy like Jason wanted to sit down with one of you guys and pick your brain for 30 minutes or something, I mean, is that how you've mentored candidates in the past? Do you do that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not unusual at all. A lot of the candidates know who is willing to write checks. Yeah. And so
not unusual to know who.
Well, so they'll come in, and do a one-on-one pretty.
I want to ask you and see if you agree with this. I was not involved in politics at all until I was 26, 27. And I then just realized, man, they are taking a lot of my taxes.
I want to run for president.
So I you want to be a part of the solution. And I found that politics is a lot nastier. It's almost like a raccoon, where a raccoon seems like a good guy. He's got kind of hands, and he's like a nice guy. Like, this is a nice guy.
I mean, he's at night, but you're thinking, well,
And I go back out there to my chicken coop, and I notice, well, all the chickens are missing their heads. And the raccoon. So when I went into politics for the first time, going to some of these events, I met Tom Coburn, God rest his soul. And he was great. I was like, this guy
He's phenomenal.
was a great man. He's just a great man. I remember talking to him, asking him what his motivation was for getting involved, and he says he delivered babies for a living, and he wanted to deliver them in a world that is just as good as the one he was brought into, and he just was great. And I thought, woo, that's my guy. He's one of the
points down.
He was one of the first guys I met because I'd won an award from the Small Business Administration. I was Entrepreneur of the Year, so I met him. So I meet person number 2, and I'm not going to mention his name right now, but I thought, this guy hates people.
He's a raccoon.
This guy's a raccoon. And I
In
started
a world of chickens.
I started meeting other people, and I realized it's a rough world, this world of politics. I think the great advice is to shadow and get involved in things. Are there things, Daryl, that Jason could get involved in where he could kind of get that insider experience that Z's talking about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there'll be campaigns going on this fall. So, get to know the candidates in this area that are running. And they're always looking for volunteers to help.
Always.
And
always.
when you get on the ground and you start going door to door and you meet these people, you just learn so much.
Yes.
Now, Daryl, what is you're working on a lot of projects. Your business is going well. Z, your businesses are going well. There's so many great things happening for you two guys. But we all three of us are concerned about what's going on with the turbulent political times. What is maybe a piece of advice that you would like to give to all of our listeners? We have, some months close to 1 million listeners, some months 500,000. What advice, or what's maybe the thing you want to share with all the listeners?
Well, are you talking from a business standpoint?
Anything at all. This is just Daryl's got the mic. Drop the mic.
Well, from a business, we're always looking ahead to our projections and trying to understand, what the business is going to look like at least for the next 12 months to make sure that we have our costs in line with the revenue. Obviously, we do business with a lot of quick service restaurants, and we've had significant number of them go bankrupt. A number of them have closed down a lot of locations. So, you just got to make sure that you have your costs in line with your projected revenues.
And this just in for a GT, if you're listening and taking notes. If a business is closed, it can't be open.
What?
If a business is closed, it can't be open.
Oh, that's a good
GT,
word.
Pro tip number 2. I want to get GT, write these down, please. Pro tip number 2. The New York Times has lost their mind. And so if they're featuring you, that means you're on the wrong team.
It's kind of like I used to love the elections. My brother was very political. My older brother, he was Jim Bridenstine's campaign manager on his first run, and he's one of the guys that I always kind of leaned to. He'd be a guy that I would say, Jason, go buy him lunch and pick his brain. I mean, he is a phenomenal political mind. And it was funny because it was like every time the Tulsa World would endorse a candidate, it was the kiss of death. And I don't know why and how such a liberal paper can succeed in such a conservative town. It's almost a tad bit of a joke. I mean, I know Mr. Buffett purchased it. I think he may have resold it already. I don't follow it that he has, but I'm kind of scratching my head going, oh my gosh. And all these candidates wanted their endorsement. And it's like every time they'd get one, be like, there goes the kiss of death. They're going to lose. It's kind of like the New York Times. I'm like, if they're talking good about you and you're a Republican, there's something amiss. I had a good friend of mine, Sean Foyt, who's a minister, an evangelist, worship leader in Northern California. And Fox News just did a story on him as far as him calling out the governor as far as telling churches they couldn't sing in a church. And yet they say nothing about the tens of thousands of protesters yelling and screaming, right, shoulder to shoulder, marching down the street. They almost encourage it. And he had a good point. He said, I was talking to him on the way here, as a matter of fact, and he said, hey, the New York Times just called me, did a story. He goes, kind of laughed and goes, I don't know if it's a hit job. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't really know how it's going to turn out. But he said, I kind of connected to the guy because I said a phrase that he said he's going to use. And I said, well, what was that phrase? He goes, well, it's either hypocrisy or bigotry. Why you would let this group over here run amok and do what they're doing, i.e. tens of thousands of people protesting, almost encourage it,
tearing down
yelling,
statues,
screaming,
burning things,
whatever. But I mean, the point is they're shoulder to shoulder, not social distancing,
packed in there,
and they're yelling and they're screaming. If you're watching these protests, I mean,
and the
that's
mayor
one
of
thing
DC
about
is
it.
joining the people, encouraging them.
This is in California, yeah. And so they're all just go boo, 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 doing it. And then he turns around and looks at churches and says, you cannot sing or chant in a church or a house of worship. And you have to keep it down to this many
So
people,
you
either
500
100 or
violent
25%.
You 500 violent people, that's cool. But
That's
you
cool.
10 people being peaceful, singing hymns, not cool.
Not cool. You can't do it.
Not-
It's an executive order. I mean, it's I don't know. If,
Jackassery.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a law, but it is a finable, arrestable offense if caught. And it's just kind of like so he told me, he said, I sure hope he uses the line. He said he was going to in the New York Times. And he said, when's it going to break? And he goes, he said in a couple of hours he's going to go live. So I was hoping I was going to get it before the show was over, but I haven't yet. But anyway, he said, is it hypocrisy or bigotry? In other words, we all know that the families that run California, and it's the families that run California, have, they're very Marxist, they're very Stalinist, they hate the church, they do not like
Hate
religion.
the church.
And it's reflective. It's not, don't go by what I say, go by what I do. And the fact that the governor of California, say, it's okay to protest shoulder to shoulder while you're yelling and screaming. In fact, we encourage that.
Right.
But yet you cannot assemble in a church at these numbers, either 25% or 100, whichever is the least number of those. And you cannot sing or chant, even though you may be tens of 20 feet away from each other.
Ridiculous.
You cannot sing or chant in a church. I mean, the actions show you where this man's heart is.
Dr. Richard Bartlett, I'm giving pro tips to GT Bynum here. GT, you got to watch this. Dr. Richard Bartlett is a doctor based in Texas who used to be an advisor to the governor of Texas.
Governor Perry.
Governor Perry.
Yep.
And you sent me the video clip, and he's right here, Dr. Richard Bartlett. Everybody look it up. Find it while you can still get it on YouTube. He's been treating people since March.
Yep.
With treating COVID-19 patients, and no one has died. Everybody listening, we all know somebody who has contracted COVID and has not died. Bloomberg and the CDC reported that 99.2% of all the people that have died from the coronavirus are elderly people with a compromised immune system. We clearly know that we have a treatment that will cure you from the virus. It is now there. Dr. Richard Bartlett, look it up. It's available. And we now have a cure for the fear. We know that Bill Gates likes to travel with Epstein. They're buddies.
Is he your favorite guy to not like right now?
Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted pedophile, and his buddy, a guy he corresponds with often, happens to be...
Well, he used to correspond. He doesn't anymore.
Until 2017, these guys are talking. Billy Gates... He's dead. Jason, again, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
If you and I are good friends, and you say to me, good friend, what did you do this weekend? And I said, I went to a private island to visit the pedophile king again. What would you think?
I would think that our friendship was no longer. I wouldn't be calling.
And I say, but real quick, trust me, I've got some big eye visions for the reinventing school.
Did you talk about reinventing school with a pedophile?
No, we only talk about business since he's been arrested multiple times for pedophilia. Then, hey, trust me with the vaccines. Trust me with the models, Bill Gates. We have a cure for the fear. We have a cure for the virus. GT, get it together.
I understand.
Unbelievable.
It's the flu, for goodness sakes,
Do you have any pro tips for GT? Have you talked to GT?
No.
Take a page out of Mayor Craig's book and find your nuts. Wherever
Mayor
you hit
Craig
them,
Thurman from
whoever
Broken Arrow.
took them.
You have all day long. That has been your fun. And I love that.
This is true.
You found your lane and you're driving in it. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Unbelievable.
But I'm telling you what, folks. It's amazing now. All we're talking about is cases.
Cases are going up.
Cases going up.
Cases going
We got a
up.
hot spot.
Yes,
we got a hot spot.
But the deaths are going down. No one's dying.
No one's dying.
But the cases are going
God, we got a hot spot. Shut the
Daryl,
bars down.
Daryl, are you worried about the cases going up? Does it freak you out?
No, I mean, obviously, testing is way up, so cases are going to go up. And,
It's amazing how many people are getting positives. They're like, what? I didn't know. I thought I had a little cough for a day or two, but I'm not that sick. It's kind of like, folks, this is not this killer virus that we've all been taught by Neil Ferguson to begin with.
Nefarious Neil.
Nefarious Neil. I had to get him in there. That Neil from the
Abdul Latif
Jamil
Institute.
Is it which one? Whatever it is. In Great Britain, who's now fired and disgraced and shown to be an absolute buffoon. But
Neil Ferguson, the director of the Abdul Latif Jamil Institute.
He's the one that cried wolf first,
Oh,
and everybody ran, and
We're
there
talking
were no
about
wolves.
this, folks, because you need to talk about it. You got to get this in the air and share it everywhere. We got to open this country back up. Now, we're going to call a guy real quick here. And this guy, Z, he started a business here in the last he started a business in the last 12 months.
Oh,
and
I hope he's still open.
And he's making money.
Oh,
and
thank
Daryl,
the Lord.
you're a business owner, a.k.a. an expert of capitalism. Can he make money if the economy's closed?
Well, it'll be more difficult for sure.
Well, I mean, he can't until the PPP
Why can't
runs out.
this
What
guy's
kind
a
of
dog?
business?
He's a dog trainer. Why will a dog trainer be less successful in Venezuela where people can't afford dog food? Can you explain how communism works?
Well, I think it's to your point earlier, they're wanting to take from the rich and give to the poor, and, that just doesn't work. People
It
gotta
works
take
for a while.
personal responsibility
until you take
and
it all.
earn it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm making the
Until
call
they run
right
out
now.
of money.
Right, exactly. Until they do, it's a pretty good system.
I'm calling Seth.
Got to think
I'm
about
calling
that
him right
for a
now.
minute.
This guy is a self-employed person.
Oh, Seth, he's one of the few that's not Adam.
I'm choosing to believe he's not going to block my calls again. Let's see here. We have a pretty good
Yeah, I
relationship.
can't call him. He's already
Hello.
blocked mine.
Seth, what's up, man?
Seth, playa.
What's going on?
Hey, you're here on the Thrive Time Show with Dr. Z, an incredibly handsome man. We have a handsome man here on the show today. He's
Daryl.
a technology expert named Daryl. We have a beautiful man by the name of Dr. Zeller, a handsome man by the name of Daryl. Then we have Jason Beasley here with you. Sir, tell us, how long have you been the owner of a tip-top canine franchise?
We've been in business a little over 2 years now.
2 years. Okay, so I thought it was less than a year, but I clearly don't keep track of time.
No.
2 years. And
it goes by quick.
how much gross revenue are you generating on a weekly basis now? What's kind of the normal
Wow,
flow?
you just went there.
What's the normal flow? Tell us.
Do it.
So I'm doing right now about between 20 and 25,000 in sales every week.
Every week?
Is that U.S.
Wow.
dollars?
Every week.
Is that U.S.
That's
dollars?
That's U.S.
U.S.
Yes.
Wow.
Can you
Nice.
use the
Congrats.
profits to buy goods and services of your choosing?
Yes, sir. I can.
Are you
Wonderful.
down? Are you
My
down?
wife
Are
and
you?
I- My wife and I are going on a vacation real soon, so it'll be really nice.
Are you
Now
going to
you're
go to
just bragging.
Venezuela to visit communism?
Cuba?
I don't think so. Not this time.
China? China?
Well, I like my capitalism. I think I'll stay with that.
Beautiful. Okay, so tell the listeners out there, you how did you hear about a Tip Top Canine? Where did the idea occur to you? When did you first have the idea? I should open up a Tip Top Canine franchise.
Yeah, I was really ambitious. I've always been really ambitious. Wanting to be the best at everything I do. And when I connected with Ryan and Rachel, they're just some of my best friends. And, they were talking about how they were expanding and they were going places. And it just really stirred in me. I want to do more. I don't want to work for the man my whole life. I want to, run my own ship, And so they just helped me, get the vision. And, it was a system that worked. And I'd been in the system. I'd seen it grow. And so it really, really made sense for me to just move out to here to Oklahoma City and just duplicate what I've been learning. So it was really easy and really, really, really fun.
Daryl, did you get massive government handouts and then use those handouts to start your business?
No.
How did you get the money? How did you do it? What did you do?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I started investing young, doing some real estate, and took that
What
money.
kind of investments could you have done as a young guy?
I was buying homes and renting them out.
How old were you when you were buying homes?
First home, I was 16.
Are you serious?
16, yeah. Started early. I was working construction in the day and doing insulation projects at night. And
Did you save money or did you spend all money?
oh no, I was a big saver.
Big saver? Yeah. When did you look at the bank account for the first time and say, things are going well, Daryl? Like, when did you have the thought of like, hey, I'm finally getting some momentum here?
Good question. I don't think there's any one certain time. Just as you're able to work hard and earn additional dollars, and you feel like you can do more than you could previously. And
So he knows. He's just not
there.
telling. Look at his eyes. You know, he knows. He's just not telling.
October 1st,
He
it was raining
knows.
outside, and
It was raining. It was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday.
the wind was howling.
And I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal, I said.
Yeah,
I wrote that
myself.
down and
I
carved it into
I
a
wrote
stone.
That, and I have a tattoo on my left hip that confirms it.
No, but Daryl, do you remember the kind of the age you were maybe when you felt like it was kind of working?
Yeah. Once we bought Micro-Age franchise, I was around 30. So
Cool.
really the first couple of years it took off and we did well. We made money the very first year, and then I felt like, well, this is going to work out for us.
Seth, how much money did you have to drop? How much coinage did you have to invest into opening your Tip Top Canine?
We dropped $20,000.
$20,000, and did you get a dog included with that?
You know, I already had my dog, so that was
Well,
the easy
well,
part.
then you didn't need a dog.
Did you get any?
I didn't need a dog.
Did Ryan and Rachel throw in a free a set of like beef dehydration kits, like make your own jerky? What else did you get?
You know, not this time. They did not. And if they do that, they better let me know.
What did you get with the $20,000? What did you get? Just give them $20,000. What did you get?
If you don't get
Tell
a
us.
dog, what'd you get?
I literally I got the franchise and the opportunity. I literally had to go and buy everything myself. And it was, you know, it was great. I loved it.
What kind of crap did you buy with the
don't regret it at all.
$20,000? Did you buy leashes? Did you
We
buy
had to-
a whip?
Yeah, we had to buy leashes. We buy kennels, collars. We bought
A taser?
You know,
Did you get a
all of our
taser?
place boxes, everything we needed to make the business successful.
Now, did Ryan and Rachel have to teach you how to train dogs, or do you just train dogs exclusively with police-grade tasers?
Yeah, no, they definitely had to train me. I came in
Did
pretty
they-
green, but they did a really good job of training me.
Did they train you like they train a dog? I mean, they put like a
Shot collar on you?
shot collar,
Did they make you jump on top of a fire
shot
hydrant?
collar, shot collar.
No, I'm sure they wanted to at some point, but no, they didn't need to do that for me.
No, that's
How
no
long did it
fun.
take you to learn to be a good dog trainer? Was it how many weeks or months? How long does it take?
You know, it takes a while. You know, it's something you can learn pretty quick, but you can't perfect really fast. And you're constantly always learning. I'm still learning new things. We're still getting better. You know, but I mean, the training process just takes a few months, a couple months.
Seth, how many times have you been bitten by a dog?
Whoa.
You know, I pride myself on not getting bit. We have a parable with the dog training industry. Blessed are the paranoid, for they shall not be bit. And so I'm pretty paranoid when I deal with an aggressive dog. But I've been bit one or two times where I was not expecting it. I got bit once in the face and once on my hand.
Hey, what is your vision now that you're doing weeks where you're bringing in $20,000 a week of gross revenue? I mean, what's the vision? Are you wanting to do real estate like Daryl, or are you wanting to move in with Daryl, or are you wanting to, I mean, what's your vision?
I'm sure Daryl's a beautiful man, but I do not
He's
I
handsome.
do not want to move in with him.
He's
My
got great
wife's a little
spectacles, too.
prettier, I promise. Okay.
I don't think my wife would want
Well,
you to move in either. No offense.
well, that's good. That's all right. Well, good. But I'm glad we're on the same page.
What a great
But,
gotcha question. That's what CNN needs to start asking President Trump. President Trump, do you want to move in with Mr. Lemon?
I think it's good. There we go.
Lose question. Okay, no, but seriously, what's your vision now? What's your vision?
Now we are really wanting to actually open more of these. We have an excellent team. My team is phenomenal here, and we are really wanting to duplicate and buy more franchises, more dog training franchises. And we want, our goal is to have 20, at least 20 in the next 10 years.
Isn't your goal really to see every dog trained in America?
No dog left
I mean,
behind.
isn't that really your goal?
Every single one, every single dog.
America!
They can do it.
Okay, so what's your favorite breed of dog right now? You got to tell me your favorite breed.
Oh,
Yeah, come on.
it's really hard. I go
No.
by personalities a lot, but I really like Belgian Malinois. I
What?
love German Shepherds. I have one, and I love Labs. So those dogs are some of my favorites.
Well, that's pretty evasive right there.
Now, Daryl, you meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm sure people come to you all the time for advice, and I'm sure you've seen some entrepreneurs that are starting to come into some new money. some Seth tip-top money, that new money, and you're kind of going, hey, I'm sure they ask you a lot of questions about what to do with the money.
Like, may I move in with you? Things like that.
Well, yeah, that kind of question. Do you have any pro tips for a guy like Seth who's 2 years into business? Do you have any tips for him? Because you've gone through several recessions. You've seen the ups and downs. I mean, what pro tips would you have for Seth?
Well, I was excited to hear him talk about franchising to 20 locations. I think that's great to have a goal like that. And, all these people that have been very successful, started out with one location and then added a second and on and on. So if you've got something that you have a passion about, I'd say go for it. Keep growing as fast as you can.
Daryl, do you watch football?
Yes, sir.
I do some.
Who's your favorite NFL? Or who's your favorite NFL team?
Chicago Bears.
Really? Okay. Ditka. Hey, come on. Hey, I'm the one with the
button. They took Trubisky instead of Mahomes,
I'm the one with the button here. You don't boo. Now, Seth, listen. You and I both love Bill Belichick, and so I'm going to cue up. I'm going to cue up the music.
Oh no.
So, Bill Belichick, you know this. He's got a romantic love for Cam Newton. He loves Cam.
Yeah.
He talks about him all the time. We watch Bill Belichick press conferences because we are sick freaks, and we love watching Bill Belichick not answer questions for an hour straight. And so Bill Belichick, every time they play against the Panthers, they say, Coach, what's your game plan? We're going up against Cam. And every time he says something to the effect of, well, Cam is an incredible football player. He's athletic.
I have
he's
posters of him
smart,
in my bedroom.
Smart player, tough player, athletic player. And he'll go on and on with adjectives. It seems like an hour.
So fashionably.
I will black out, and I will awake, and Bill is still talking about his love
for Cam Newton.
He loves Cam Newton, and now he got Cam Newton, his guy. So Seth, he got Cam Newton super cheap on a contract that's largely capitalistic. It's incentive based. This just in, no guaranteed money on that beast. Tell me, what do you think's going to happen now that we've got Cam Newton? Can he operate in the Bill Belichick system? Can he not? What's going to happen?
I think time will tell, but I really think he'll do well. I mean, those incentives makes you want to work, improve yourself. He's been out of the game for 2 years, and now he's getting an opportunity not just with another team, but with the greatest coach of all time. So I would be really determined to make a really good impression and go to the Super Bowl. And I think with him, I've been watching some stuff on him. I think he's going to do really well. I really do. I think they have some good weapons.
I think Bill Belichick could take us to the Super Bowl. Everyone in the studio right now. He could take Chuck could be the QB. Z, you could be the running back. I could just be the whole offensive line myself. Daryl here could be a wide receiver. Jason could be playing. Bill Belichick.
The entire defense.
He could just be the whole defense. And somehow they would win.
And special teams.
Yeah. And special teams.
With just trick plays. The whole game. Just the whole game. They would march down the field without hiking the ball somehow. Just penalties and confusion.
Misinformation. Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
They pump fake news into the other team's headsets. Okay, now final question here. Z, do you ever golf?
Only when I have to.
Well, Daryl golfs, and I was telling Daryl the other day, I know nothing about golf, but Daryl's good at golf. And I was trying to tell Daryl about rolfing. Have you ever been rolfing? That rough massage?
The what?
That rough massage stuff? Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
Is this what the Patriots got in trouble for?
No. Is this a craft joke? Are we going back to
craft? No, I just want to know. I'm seriously. Do you ever had that thing? Get out of here! I'll find it. I'm going to find it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm concerned at this point.
I have no idea.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank goodness.
That's so funny. Why are you not backing me up here? I've been telling Daryl.
Are you looking it up here?
Rolfing is frequently deep and sometimes intense and uncomfortable.
That's probably why I don't know about
the definition of rolfing.
Okay.
Meet Charles Seamers, a man with a very special occupation.
I'm going to play this
Charles
for Daryl.
is one of only 400 people in the world licensed to practice rolfing, an important lifestyle component for celebrities like Shirley MacLaine, John Denver, Greta Garbo, and Olympic gold medalist Alexi Graywall.
Can you see this?
When Linda Gray or Richard Chamberlain need a little body rejuvenation, they go to Charles Seamers. And today, we've been invited to watch Charles give John St. Elwood, star of The Young and the Restless, his first session.
Daryl, you've got to come see
Rolfing
this.
is
You're
a
missing
technique
out.
for reordering the
you go.
body
I'm sorry,
to
the
bring its
monitor's
major
not-
segments toward a vertical alignment. In 10-hour-long
I'm just trying to help you.
Rolfing
don't
is a
stop it,
technique
please.
for reordering
There's
the
only
body
400
to
people
bring
that
its
can do
major
it.
segments toward a vertical alignment. In 10-hour-long sessions, a rolfer will realign the body back to its natural position around a vertical axis. He does this by manipulation of the major muscle groups and the connective tissues called fascia. The net effect of realigning the body this way is a significant decrease in the amount of stress
watch him do
experienced
it,
in the
Z.
body.
Watch
He
him do
begins to pull on them, pull them down,
I
shorten
think Daryl
the
needs
body.
this. See, you're a
Yes,
doctor.
I do.
you recommend
feel
this?
longer in the torso.
And that the Rolfing technique is especially beneficial for children. Dr. Rolf explained why.
Daryl, see, do you recommend
You
this?
spend too much time on the internet. This has been confirmed.
listen,
Your internet
you're-
account is going to get shut down for a day and a
The
half.
baby's so happy now.
He's so happy.
You're
He's
not,
got
you're an
Rolfed.
optometrist.
He
Help
got
us
Rolfed.
see the future.
Help
Should
us-
Seth be Rolfing and should Daryl be Rolfing? Tell us.
I think Seth probably should be. Can we do a dog rolfer? I mean, is that can we train him and rolf him at the
I
same
don't know
time?
if I can do that. That's not part of my technique.
Daryl,
Well, can you learn it? I mean, you learn how to train a dog for goodness sakes.
I mean, there are
You learn
dog
how to-
I'm sure I
Daryl, you're-
could. If,
Daryl's good at-
if you give me some tips, I could probably figure it out.
Daryl's good at golfing. Okay, he's the wise guy in the room here. How do you
And that
stay
rhymes
in
with
golfing
Rolfing.
shape? What do you do? Do you see a stretch guy? Do you see a chiropractor? What do you do?
I do stretch probably 20, 30 minutes before I play usually.
Why don't you next time you go in just say, hey, how about some Rolfing?
Might be a little quicker.
Hey, I need to get rolfed before I golf.
Have you met Dr. Joe Lai, one of my clients? Have you met Dr. Joe?
Yeah.
He's a great orthodontist, and he swears by it. He comes into the office looking all sweaty, looking all physically fatigued, sweating, and I'm like, what is going on? And he says, I went Rolfing.
I just got
Like,
rolfed.
you went rolfed?
I just got rolfed.
With the Charles Seamers. I just love this intro video where
He's running in his tracksuit.
Only 400 people in the world licensed to practice rolfing, an important lifestyle component for celebrities.
Daryl, do you respect the sport of curling in the Olympics? Have you ever watched that?
Oh, yeah. Who hadn't watched it in the Olympics?
Because you know why we love it so much? Because we look at that as
can do it.
grown-ass man and we say, that's something I could do.
That's
I mean, all
true.
the other stuff,
That's
all the
true.
other stuff, there's no way. I mean, I can't jump, we get one of the poles and jump, over the thing or run that fast. But I look at that and I go, I think I could do that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
those
a
are the
good
type
point.
of people. Oh, what do you do for a living? Sir, I'm an Olympic athlete.
I'm an Olympic
Z,
athlete.
check this out. Here we go.
The raw body flows.
In this age of health consciousness, rolfers and their patients share a unique view of the interrelationships between man's physical and emotional states, and of the effect that a very special kind of energy, the flow of gravity, has on us all.
I can't take it. Stop.
I feel like I need to get rolfed.
I can't take it.
Oh, I tell you what, folks.
Baby blue tracks, velour tracks running through the woods. I'm sorry, folks. You didn't get to see the beauty, the majestic nature of it, but it was the rolfer was he was running in a baby blue velour tracksuit with much determination through the forest. It was
with much determination.
it was priceless.
What a great show.
What a great snippet.
I'll tell you what, laughter's good medicine, Z.
Yes.
If people want to buy stuff from you, Z, where's the website people can buy something from you?
From me?
Yeah, just try to sell something real quick.
I'll just send me send money to send me some Yeezys at
Email me, info@thrivetimeshow.com.
Info@thrivetimeshow.com.
And you need a size 10 Yeezys, right?
Right. That's what you told me.
If you're out there, it's better to give than to receive. If you feel bad
better.
about all the money you're making as a result of implementing this stuff,
Right.
just send Z some Yeezys.
That's right. That'd
He'll
be
wear
the
the
first.
guilt
That'd
for
be
you.
first step.
Daryl, what's your website one more time?
SageNet.com.
SageNet.com. And remember, folks, really, it's up to you to help control the pet population. It's up. You need to get your pet spayed and neutered, and make sure you go watch the YouTube video by Charles Seamers on advanced rolfing. Unbelievable. All right.
Before it gets taken down.
And
we
Seth,
know how they are.
If we're in Oklahoma City, can we hire you to train our dog?
Yes, sir, you can. Definitely.
Did you promise not to rolf our dog?
I no promises. I'm intrigued.
You should be. It's impressive.
All right, we're getting the show with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. I thought we should end this show with a super, super positive win. And so we decided to interview a thriver by the name of Stephanie Pipkin. She has a business, and she is doing very, very well. However, she's different than many people. She listens to the show, yes. She takes notes, yes. But she decided that success was for her and not just for other people. And so she reached out to us. She did a 13-point assessment with me, and now she's diligently implementing the proven path and the plan. And this woman has increased the number of her leads by 300% in just under 5 months. So in 4 months, she's increased the number of leads she's receiving by 300%. It's an incredible story about a diligent doer out there, a goal pursuer and a diligent doer out there just like you. And so now without any further ado, here's our bonus Wins of the Week featuring Stephanie Pipkin.
Wins of the week!
Yes!
Doing the bull dance, feeling the flow.
Here we go, folks.
You can do it!
Positivity.
21 gigawatts! La, la, la.
Soak it in. Soak in the positivity.
Impressive. Oh, you smell like a winner.
Oh, yeah. Just let it happen, folks. Here we go. It's a quick 5-minute segment with somebody out there that who doesn't just listen to the show, but they implement the show. It's exciting when you have somebody that actually implements what we teach on the show.
I know. We go through a lot of the steps and the procedures, and you go to step 1, step 2, step 3, and you kind of like to think that somebody out there actually goes, maybe I should try that.
Stephanie Pipkin, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Clay.
Hey, real quick, tell Dr. Z, how old are you?
I just turned 24 last month.
And what do you do? What is your business?
I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services, so we do residential and commercial cleaning.
Oh, cool.
What poor choices did you make to discover us? How did you find out about us?
I was listening to the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, and that's when I heard you speak on it. And I bought one of your books, the website book, and here we are several months later after, I think, 4 months of coaching with Luke.
So tell me about how much you've grown your business.
I think we have now tripled. We just actually had our highest revenue week ever this past week, and that was double any previous higher week. So it's gone through the roof.
Tripled in 4 months?
Yes.
That's awesome. And Stephanie, when you say Black River Cleaning Services, what part of the country is that? What state, what city?
I am in western Wisconsin, and my town is, I think, 5,000 people, and that certainly has not caused us to, grow slow or anything like that. So, yep, we're very rural.
You started it. See, when you bought Bank of Nowata, now known as Regent Bank, when you guys were buying that bank, you bought it right before the Great Recession happened.
Great timing.
2008.
Beautiful
time.
Beautiful timing.
This young lady started her business right before the biggest pandemic. I'm going to say the biggest pandemic fear of all time was spread.
That's true. That's a good way to put it.
Stephanie, talk to me about this. You decided to just go for it. I mean, when did you start the business, and as it relates to COVID?
I started the business in April of 2019, so we're just a year old. But I just started working with you guys right before COVID hit. So we started working in March, and then it started getting crazy, in April. And so I was forced to shut down residential at that point. But because of you guys, I had all the information necessary to get the PPP and everything like that. So we came out of COVID into our highest revenue month ever of June, and then this month is going to be even better. So I got my second largest commercial client during COVID because I was doing the Dream 100, doing the cold calling. So that absolutely works. I mean, I've gotten so many clients because of that, and so COVID barely phased us, honestly.
Yeah, Stephanie, did Luke ever teach you the free cheese move?
The free cheese move?
If he didn't, he's fired.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Did he ever teach you that move?
Hasn't.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
well, that's for advanced. That's for advanced cleaning in Wisconsin. But that's a move that's coming down the pipe.
It's a move. It's a move. Now I want to brag on this young lady because she is She's like Josh Wilson. Josh, you are an implementer.
Thank you, sir.
You implement what you're learning. How much have you grown, Josh, in the past 3 years?
Oh, geez. I mean, right about 700%. So year over year, June we were up 83%. June 2020 versus June 2019.
See, he had his first $300,000 month last month.
Wow,
unbelievable!
Is that why I got those big invoices?
I didn't know if you could go ahead and pay those. Z, I'd appreciate it.
I was wondering.
Like we had.
Well, it's for a good cause.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to buy a Range Rover.
So what I want to do, Stephanie, is I'd like to get into 4 specific questions. I want to go rapid fire, and Z's going to one-up me with better questions. But as we wrap up this Wins of the Week edition of the Thrive Time Show, I just want to get into 4 quick questions. 1, you are getting Google reviews every week, and you're doing the group interview every week. You get Google reviews every week, and you do the the group interview every week. Every week, see, every week she does the group interview, and she gets reviews every week. Why are you so diligent? What is wrong with you?
Well, when I get the Google reviews, so when I started with you guys, I had 12. I have now 53, and that's 4 months, I think. So thanks to Luke being annoying about pushing me for that. And whenever I get a lead and they come from Google, they are sold. I mean, it's pretty much when can we show up. Price doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're already sold because of the Google reviews. So that's amazing. And then when it comes to the group interviews, that has been one of the number one things I've implemented so far. And I actually have it tonight in an hour and a half. And it's been amazing because it's given me the power back over, my employees and making sure that they never hold me hostage. And when something happens, it's not really a big deal. Like last week, I had a no-call, no-show of a cleaner Friday, and going to hire a new one tonight probably, or, after I do the group interview and get their references and whatnot. So it's so much less stressful because I always have good people in the pipeline. So, yeah, it's amazing.
See, I like to see women entrepreneurs that are bold. They actually just find out what they need to do, and they do it.
Yeah, they do it.
And unfortunately, you don't see a lot of female entrepreneurs. You're seeing more and more, but you don't see as many. I'd like to ask you this question here, Stephanie. How do you view business as a female entrepreneur? Do you ever have the thought, hey, I'm a female and I'm an entrepreneur, maybe I should do something differently? Or do you even think about that at all?
Not really. I think that, masculine and feminine both have their strengths. And what I'm doing when it comes to cleaning, especially the residential, I have a lot of empathetic strengths for our clients that, again, sells them. I make videos every week, and I speak to our clients and make them feel not so bad about hiring a house cleaner. So I feel like women and men have very different strengths. Sometimes they're the same, but, I've never felt any, lack of ability to be an entrepreneur because I'm a woman.
My final 2 questions before Z one-ups me. What made you think that you could actually get a hold of me as a result of listening to the John Lee Dumas podcast and then actually schedule a meeting with me? Because I've always thought that way. Z, I've always thought I deserve to have success. I'm going to do it. I can do it. But, Z, a lot of people think, success is for somebody else. This guy's on this show. He's not real. It's not going to happen for me.
Robotic.
The virus will probably kill me anyway.
Why worry?
You know what I mean? So, what made you bold enough to believe that you could be helped?
Good parenting. Parents parent
Awesome.
their kids well. I have, pretty high confidence, I would say, and know I can do anything I want if I just work hard enough. So, reaching out to you was kind of scary, I guess, because you're this big famous person, but you're just a person too. So I never think anybody's better than you.
I love that. I love that advice because I wish we would talk to more people like this person. This is great. Z, you can one-up me now with your question.
Stephanie, Forbes, which is kind of our business Bible, Forbes tells us that 2 out of 3 people out there are thinking about starting a business. What gave you your motivation to start the business? And I really love the fact, it sounds like, and you can maybe walk through your story a little bit, that you really went out there and found some business mentors before you just jumped in on it. Is that a true statement, or kind of talk about that?
Absolutely. So why I opened, I always knew I wanted to open a business. My parents are entrepreneurs, and they've always had businesses, and so I worked in the family business, but it just wasn't my passion. So I wanted something that was mine, and so it was a good fit with the cleaning and things like that. service-based. I'm very acts of service oriented, so it just works very well there.
Oh,
and,
good.
I wanted to be incredibly financially successful. I'm really into financial independence. My fiance and I are just starting out in rental properties as well, so I don't want to be lackluster financially. I want to make a lot of money, and this is one way to do it. And when it comes to mentorship, before I opened the business, I did take a business course specifically for cleaning services, and I was listening to podcasts, listening to books. So before I opened, I opened and I implemented profit first immediately. So we have been profitable since day one, never had any debt in the business, and so just learning from others' mistakes. Obviously, there's so many successful people out there. Why not learn from what they have? And that's why I feel like. And knowing when you need help. I reached out to you guys, wasn't sure if I necessarily needed the help. Obviously, I did, but how much success I've had because of hiring you. So I think don't just fly by the seat of your pants. Sometimes that's good, but think about things and don't just, let's, if you just work hard, it's going to work out. Yes, that's true, but you need to be intelligent as well.
Stephanie, in your group interview, I'm sure you asked the question of every person that shows up, what is their favorite cheese? And in doing so,
back to the cheese.
In doing so,
That's funny. I'm vegan, so I do not.
and in doing so, is there anybody that says their favorite cheese is fill in the blank, and then you go automatic in the back of your head, I'm not going to hire that person ever. I mean, like Gouda, sharp cheddar. I mean, is there one that you're like, no, you're out. You're out. I don't care how much I love you. You're out. I mean, is there a cheese that's a deal breaker?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't actually ask that.
You don't?
I
I figured you
that.
did.
But I do. There are many, many things that immediately set me off of people of why I'm not going to hire them. So I do love the group interview because it doesn't waste my time with losers.
Now, final question. We have a final 30 seconds here before we have to interview the CEO of Honeywell. So, Josh, final question.
Real quick, Stephanie, for all those people out there like you and I who heard about Clay, who heard about Z, who heard about the system and just didn't know whether or not to act, what would you do to encourage the listeners out there with the success that you've had? Obviously, they get to hear about my success on a weekly basis, but what would you do to encourage listeners out there to follow the plan and the systems that Z and Clay have created?
Just follow it, regardless if you think it's a waste of time or not. All of the things that Luke has me do every week has, drastically increased my business's success as
Amen.
well as my quality of life in every area. So it literally has changed my entire life by hiring them. So if that's not enough of a trigger, I don't know what would be, and they just don't want to act. So.
Hey, what is your web address?
www.brfcleaningservices.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really do appreciate you.
Thanks,
and you're just getting started. You're going to have an epic year, and it's at the beginning of an epic decade. I'm super excited about you. Congratulations on the upcoming wedding.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, guys.
Take care.